Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a review of The Monster Men, a one-shot from American Mythology. This is based on the Edgar Burroughs novel, The Monster Men, and Burroughs is the creator of Tarzan and John Carter of Mars, and so this is one of his more obscure works. This was a horror novel he did in 1913, and let's just start off with this cover. This is the Mike Wolfer variant cover for this issue, and it is gorgeous. I love it to death. Mike Wolfer does a great job rendering characters and telling a story and establishing a mood, and that's exactly what this cover does. It perfectly captures the interior, and it's absolutely going on my display. My only complaint here is that it is a $5 variant, so you're paying an extra dollar for the Wolfer cover. I don't think they should do that. They've started doing this on future variant covers for these comics. I don't think that's a good idea. I did it this one time because I love this cover and wanted it, and plus I kind of didn't realize it until after I bought it. So I think it's definitely a deterrent, and I would advise American Mythology not to do the extra dollar, but I'm just a reader. But anyway, gorgeous cover, love it to death. So this one shot takes place after the novel. And so the novel is basically there's a mad scientist, he goes to a jungle island, and he creates men. He's trying to create the perfect artificial man. He does not succeed for the first 12 tries, and they're all deformed monsters and all this stuff. And the novel and this one shot, it revolves around his 13th attempt, which is named number 13. And I'm not going to spoil the novel because there's a big twist that basically this entire issue is built on. And so if you want to read the novel without having the big plot twist spoiled, I recommend going out and getting the novel or reading it before reading this. But this picks up after the novel, picks up 13 months after the ending of that story, and finds a very logical reason to go back to that jungle island and go back to that compound, which of course is now abandoned, and look for something that they may have missed in the original story. And so it combines monster horror with, kind of the horror of just, walking around an abandoned place in the middle of the wilderness. And it really, really works. There's a lot of jungle adventure stuff in the original novel, judging from the synopsis I read on Wikipedia about it. But this is pure horror. This is pure, like, walking around in the dark and encountering, scary things. So very, very good call on their part. And I think the story really just naturally extends what was in the original, at least, again, according to the synopsis I read. And they do a great, great job of recapping what's gone on before. You are completely caught up by the end of this. You know who these characters are. You know what the situation is. You know what the stakes are. The interior art is by Alan Martinez, and he does a great job. He does a good job rendering. He does a good job storytelling, but he also does a fantastic job carving out images using shadow. And that creates a mood that is just perfectly in fitting with the story. And I want to point out that the way Wolfer uses the space when they're walking around the compound to fill in this dialogue and orient the reader as to what is going on. What is this world we're in? Who are these characters? What are the stakes? We know all this. This is what it takes to do that. You have to put in your dialogue. You have to tell readers the backstory. Otherwise, we're not going to know what's going on and we're not going to care. This is how you do storytelling. But this is, in those in-between spaces. Wolfer also drops out the dialogue whenever something scary or intense happens and just lets those action sequences speak for themselves. And it really, really works. And so overall, I love this issue. This is one of the best Edgar Burroughs comics American Mythology has put out. I'm hoping when this comes back for the miniseries that it will feature Mike Wolfer and this artist because they are very good together. Unfortunately, I don't know when they're going to continue this story. There's supposed to be a miniseries called The Monster Men Heart of Wrath that will pick up where this one shot left off, but they do not tell you when it is coming. I wish they would at least give us a month or a time of year to look for it. But regardless, after I read this, I was very, very primed to get the rest of this story. Definitely looking forward to it. I will definitely be looking out for the miniseries. So next up from American Mythology on their Edgar Rice Burroughs comics will be the conclusion of Pellucidar Wings of Death, which is right over my shoulder here. And this has been a fantastic miniseries. This and Monster Men have been the best things they put out so far for their Edgar Rice Burroughs comics. And that'll be coming to an end next month with issue 3. It's a 3-issue miniseries. And then after that, there's going to be Carson of Venus, the Eye of Amtor in January. And that's the one that's going to tie into the novel crossover that Edgar Rice Burroughs Inc. is doing. So there's going to be a series of novels with the different Edgar Rice Burroughs characters, Tarzan and John Carter. And it's all going to begin in this miniseries, and it's going to have the first appearance of a new character they'll feature in that story called Victory Harvin. And so I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be in January, and then there's going to be a second Carson of Venus miniseries at the end of January, and it'll be called Carson of Venus Realm of the Dead. And if you've seen my previous reviews, you may have heard me say, oh, these comics they're putting out of Carson of Venus are good, but I'm hoping we get a follow-up to that story they started in Fear on Four Worlds. And guess what? Realm of the Dead is the continuation of that story from Fear on Four Worlds, and it will be written by Mike Wolfer. And I am certainly looking forward to not one, but 2 Carson of Venus miniseries next year. So that's really cool. With both of them happening at the same time, I suspect Monster Men may be more mid-2020. You know, we may be looking more at April or May before Monster Men gets published. But regardless, I'm definitely looking forward to everything they're putting out. These comics are getting really good, and it's just really cool to read something new, because we have so many safe comics that are published. We have, you know, the umpteenth Avenger title, the umpteenth Spider-Man title. You know, if it's a licensed comic, it's going to be Transformers or G.I. Joe or something you've seen a million times. And so it's really, really cool to get stuff based on more obscure properties, you know, that you're probably not familiar with. I certainly wasn't familiar with it. So it's really cool to actually discover things. You know, comics used to be about that. They used to be, you know, discovering something new every time you would open an issue. And that's, you know, one of the reasons I like the Burroughs stuff from American Mythology. It kind of brings me back to that kind of feel of discovery. So that's all I got to say. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, see ya.